rag, rag, ragged, ragged,
choir, choir, micro, micro, microscope, microscope, microwave, microwave, squash, squash, meantime, meantime, itch, itch, costly, costly, encyclopedia, encyclopedia,
dare, dare,
daring, daring, cherish, cherish, adhere, adhere, made, made, maiden, maiden, aggress, aggress, aggressor, aggressor, aggression, aggression, aggressive, aggressive, admiral, admiral, widow, widow, widower, widower, bloom, bloom, melancholy, melancholy, fancy, fancy, fierce, fierce,
mud, mud,
muddy, muddy, pine, pine, jar, jar,
nap, nap,
fiber, fiber, filter, filter, namely, namely, normal, normal, norm, norm, diminish, diminish, minimum, minimum, maximum, maximum, minimal, minimal,
minute, minute,
minor, minor, minority, minority, fume, fume,
perfume, perfume.
The local rag. The local rag. Rag weak. Rag weak. An oily rag. An oily rag. Ragged children. Ragged children. A ragged coat. A ragged coat. Ragged rocks. Ragged rocks. Ragged clouds. Ragged clouds. Ragged rhymes. Ragged rhymes. A ragged style in writing. A ragged style in writing. A ragged lawn. A ragged lawn. A choir member. A choir member. A robed choir. A robed choir. A choir of dancers. A choir of dancers. A string choir. A string choir. A gospel choir. A gospel choir. A microwave oven. A microwave oven. Microlending. Microlending. Electron microscope. Electron microscope. Phase microscope. Phase microscope. Focus a microscope. Focus a microscope. A strong microscope. A strong microscope. A high-powered microscope. A high-powered microscope. A monocular microscope. A monocular microscope. Microwave cooker. Microwave cooker. A glass of orange. A glass of orange. Squash descent. Squash descent. Squash a judgment. Squash a judgment. In the meantime. In the meantime. For the meantime. For the meantime. Itch might. Itch might. To get an itch. To get an itch. To have an itch. To have an itch. The creative itch. The creative itch. Have the itch. Have the itch.
Catch the itch. Catch the itch. Costly jewels. Costly jewels. A costly enterprise. A costly enterprise. A costly failure. A costly failure. A costly error. A costly error. A walking encyclopedia. A walking encyclopedia. Consult an encyclopedia. Consult an encyclopedia. Dare any danger. Dare any danger. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. How dare you. How dare you. Play truth or dare. Play truth or dare. A daring escape. A daring escape. A daring crime. A daring crime. A daring adventurer. A daring adventurer. Ask a daring question. Ask a daring question. Cherish a hope. Cherish a hope. Have affection. Have affection. Cherish affection. Cherish affection. Adhere strictly. Adhere strictly. Adhere to a view. Adhere to a view. Adhere to a party. Adhere to a party. Adhere to neutrality. Adhere to neutrality. Ward maid. Ward maid. Lady's maid. Lady's maid. House maid. House maid. Day maid. Day maid. Keep a kitchen maid. Keep a kitchen maid. A maiden flight. A maiden flight. A maiden battle. A maiden battle. Maiden soil. Maiden soil. One's maiden aunt. One's maiden aunt. A systematic. A systematic. A aggressor country. A aggressor country. Naked aggression. Naked aggression. Armed aggression. Armed aggression. A non-aggression pact. A non-aggression pact. Show aggression. Show aggression. An aggressive war. An aggressive war. Assume the aggressive. Assume the aggressive. An aggressive act. An aggressive act. Aggressive attitude. Aggressive attitude. Nakedly aggressive. Nakedly aggressive. Rear Admiral. Rear Admiral. Admiral Nelson. Admiral Nelson. A widow's weeds. A widow's weeds. Grass widow. Grass widow. Become a widow. Become a widow. A grass widower. A grass widower. The bloom of youth. The bloom of youth. Burst into bloom. Burst into bloom.
Feel melancholy. feel melancholy, melancholy memories, melancholy memories, a melancholy event, a melancholy event, a melancholy mood, a melancholy mood, fancy man, fancy man, the fancies of a poet, the fancies of a poet, a wild fancy, a wild fancy, a fancy button, a fancy button, fancy necktie, fancy necktie, fancy legal terms, fancy legal terms, fancy private schools, fancy private schools, something fierce, something fierce, fierce wind, fierce wind, a fierce storm, a fierce storm, fierce heat, fierce heat, fierce cold, fierce cold, a fierce dog, a fierce dog, fierce looks, fierce looks, mud bricks, mud bricks, build a mud hut, build a mud hut, mud bath, mud bath, muddy shoes, muddy shoes, a muddy pond, a muddy pond, muddy coffee, muddy coffee, a muddy road, a muddy road, muddy weather, muddy weather, clear the muddy water, clear the muddy water, pine forests, pine forests, pine nut, pine nut, pine cone, pine cone, a pine table, a pine table, a storage jar, a storage jar, jam jar, jam jar, a spice jar, a spice jar, a jar of coffee, a jar of coffee, a water jar, a water jar, jar one's nerves, jar one's nerves, have a nap, have a nap, take a nap, take a nap, high fiber, high fiber, muscle fiber, muscle fiber, staple fiber, staple fiber, a man of real fiber, a man of real fiber, carbon fiber, carbon fiber, an oil filter, an oil filter, a washer filter, a washer filter, quite normal, quite normal, as per normal, as per normal, as per usual, as per usual, in normal, normal distribution, normal distribution, normal conditions, normal conditions, a normal solution, a normal solution, social norms, social norms, cultural norms, cultural norms, establish a norm, establish a norm, set a norm, set a norm, diverge from the norm, diverge from the norm, diminish in speed, diminish in speed, diminish by degrees, diminish by degrees, diminish crime, diminish crime, minimum charge, minimum charge, minimum wage, minimum wage, the minimum of inconvenience, the minimum of inconvenience, at the minimum, at the minimum, to the maximum, to the maximum speed, the maximum speed, the maximum volume, the maximum volume, make the maximum use, make the maximum use, barometric maximum, barometric maximum, minimal effect, minimal effect, any minute, any minute,
At any minute. At any minute. A last-minute holiday. A last-minute holiday. A minute observer. A minute observer. Minute research. Minute research. Minor injuries. Minor injuries. Minor faults. Minor faults. A minor matter. A minor matter. Minor offense. Minor offense. A minor official. A minor official. Minor cereals. Minor cereals. A minor interval. A minor interval. A minor premise. A minor premise. A minor subject. A minor subject. No minors. No minors. Minor in history. Minor in history. ethnic minority, ethnic minority, minority leader, minority leader. The educated minority, the educated minority, the minority problem, the minority problem. The fumes of ammonia, the fumes of ammonia, fumes of heat, fumes of heat, fumes of hay, fumes of hay. The fume of flowers, the fume of flowers, the fumes of sleep, the fumes of sleep. Bread and fume, bread and fume, bus and fume, bus and fume. Fume out exhaust gas, fume out exhaust gas. Voluptuous perfume, voluptuous perfume. Put on perfume, put on perfume. A heavy perfume, a heavy perfume. Reek with perfume, reek with perfume. A subtle perfume, a subtle perfume.